Hello, 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 hello. I hope you're doing okay. Hope you can hear me. I'm checking everything out. Well, you did, I guess. Got something live from the start. Audio and video are great. Thank you, David, for telling me because I never know. It's kind of like the Adams family house around here, especially the last few weeks, as all of you probably have your own Adams family house. Uh, I've been working diligently on getting the kitchen painted, getting this setup done, uh, and I'm using the new Sony camera on this setup. Uh, and I'll just have to figure out about the kitchen. It's just too much to move that camera every time I want to do a live or I want to do a cooking. So I'm trying to outweigh the issues because I've got several, a tablet or two. I've got things that I can use for the to stream the video or record the video. So there's nothing lost, and I'm not really worried about it. It just takes me a while. Used to I was Johnny on the spot with everything, and now it takes me forever to know if I'm washing or hanging out, as Grandma used to say. But I'm glad that I could come, and I hope that y'all are doing all okay, being Sunday. And I talked to Granny Pat last night for about an hour, I would think. We don't talk as much as we used to um, because everything's been so hectic and so busy, and um, you just everybody's got too many irons in the fire these days. Maybe they did 100 years ago. I just think it was probably in a different aspect of. They didn't have, but I feel like all this computers and cell phones and all that. It because your mind is constantly seeing something for you to uh, be inquisitive about. And used to, I imagine, 70 years ago. I mean, I'd have to ask Mother what it was like, but I know that they didn't have a lot of. Well, they didn't even have electricity when she was born. You know, uh, they didn't have electricity until my mother was in high school, and she'll be 94 in April. So um, she said they were going to go to town, and she'd gotten in the bathtub in the kitchen. They had one of those old metal tubs. And grandmother would boil the water and put it in there, and she was in the bath in the kitchen. And the electricity, I guess they'd set up the lines months, maybe even a year before, down to the Red River from Bonham. And she was in the bath when the electricity come on around a little after lunch, I think. And just think about that, y'all. You just have to sit and think about it. What would we do? Well, I've had the power to go out, and I've got the old coil oil lamps that I use, and you can't see a lot with them. But think of, I guess, if you didn't know about having electricity really, but town had electricity, so I guess they would go into the picture show and stuff like that, and then they would go back to their oil lamps. I think that would be terribly, terribly uh, to have that wonderful thing and then have to go back to an oil lamp. I just think that would be that would be so torture for me. But it would be the same thing now. What I'm getting at is, if they had phones or internet or anything back then, they would be so wrapped up as today, they wouldn't have lived the peaceful life that you always hear about on the farm. Because I've got to get these cows milk because I got to get back in there on the internet because I've got to chat or play a game or something. So, the poor animals and people would probably be less cared for than today. But now that even in my generation of over 60, we grew up with the internet, and well, not all the way, but I remember when I first got a computer. It wasn't until a lot later, but those old green screen computers, I never cared for them at all, and I'm so glad that they've migrated away from that. David says, can't believe we got something live. Started audio, video, great. David agreed we're constantly connected and engaged nowadays, really even compared to when was a kid in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, I mean, I lived on that farm, and I told an interview one time, or somebody said, what did you do? I said, well, we worked. Daddy didn't make us work much, but I said my best friends were sticks, mud, and June bugs, because I didn't have any friends. We lived miles away from the next neighbor. Especially on that 500-acre place, you just had to go all the way from the house and around and cattle guards, and finally you ended up at the paved road, paved road, then you'd finally end up to the highway. But I had no friends because I had chums at school, but they occasionally they would come home. I've told those stories that my mother, God bless her, she would come to get me at school every day. I didn't ride the bus because we lived down there in the country, and so she'd get in the car and it wasn't very far to school. It was maybe 10 minutes. But a lot of those kids were from sharecroppers, and they had not a pot to pee in or a window to throw it out of, as they say. And she'd let me invite them home with me. She encouraged it in a way because she knew that if she ever got a hold of them, got them at the house, they'd be fed, they'd be bathed, and she'd give them my clothes, which is fine with me because we had good clothes, plenty of clothes. And then, like I've told the story, that a few of those have grown up to become really accomplishments. And I think it was all due to my little mother, because they didn't have a chance in hell making anything from themselves. If it hadn't been a few times a year that mother would let them come and eat and play and stay and bathe and get a few new clothes and maybe a book satchel that, something like that. So my mother, she's always worked miracles when it come to needing something and not having the money to get it, or needing something and we needed something for school. We always were taken care of by Mama. That reminds me of the old movie. If y'all hadn't seen it, you need to watch it. It's I Remember Mama. It had several good stars in it. The one that played on Dallas as the mother to JR was Belle Geddes. She was in that, I believe, and that was such a good movie. You know, the mama, she took care of the kids, she took care of the house, she took care of the bank, and that's the way my mother was. Now Daddy took care of the bank, but Mama made sure we had what we needed, and uh, we really didn't need a lot though, because y'all have to realize we was in the country, and we go to town on Saturday, and I've got some few stories I'm working on that I'll put on here about my grandmother and childhood and things. I'm working on those, and I'm working on a few uh, joke poems, things, new things. Once I've got this kind of up, the computer where I can uh, not have to. Once I get where I don't have to worry about if it's going to cut off, then I will produce those. That music channel I put on was just wasn't monetized, which doesn't matter to me. But I like classical music. When I want to read a book, I'll put classical on my earphones or earbuds. Um, and so I thought, well, I'll just do some classical music and from the channel. I just wanted to see if I could do it. That's basic. When y'all see me doing some things, if you think it's crazy, just don't say nothing because I'm just playing. And I enjoy playing, you know. This is tea, it's not bourbon. I'll promise you. But yeah, I got the good report from the doctor. I went to see the liver doctor, and he said my test seemed like I had brought comparisons that they had are getting the numbers got better. They didn't get worse. So, uh, you know, I guess with liver disease and cirrhosis, I guess they expect to see things getting worse. But I'll tell y'all, I want to tell y'all about that doctor's appointment. Something that just floored me is I'd never met this man, and it was I had done research to find a good liver doctor, and I came up to travel to Oklahoma City because he is one of the top doctors in that field, and they kept telling me, you know, you need to get a liver doctor, which I had one, but I would not send my dog to him because he just didn't engage with you. He didn't seem to want to help you. Once the initial appointment was over, you know, it didn't seem, because the cancer spot was on my liver before the pandemic. And he knew this, that there was something on that X-ray or MRI or CT, whichever it was, there was a spot there. And he chose, I know the pandemic came along and you can put so much on that, but you know, he could have followed up and I would have masked and went on to get more tests, you know, as soon as I was allowed to. Nothing like that. So then, of course, it showed up as the cancer in the tumor. But I'm gonna tell y'all, I think God has took that away. I think He's healed it. But we're waiting for 6 months to re-photograph that and see that my tumor markers were non-existent from these blood tests of last Thursday. And my AST and my ALT numbers have gone back to normal. But back to the doctor. And see, my brain's kind of clearing up a little. I've been taking the B12, and he said that was good, and that's why I feel so much better. Um, y'all, I'll read comments in just a second. I don't want to get off train of thought, or we'll be going around the chicken house to get to the barn, and then we'll never figure out where we were. Uh, but he thinks that once we get these numbers in, and then I don't need to see him probably for 3 months. But he wants this is what he told me, and those of you that are in the medical field, he said that he wants a CT scan, not another MRI, because he said with the liver and the certain things going on, he'd rather have a CT scan of any organ, because in an MRI, he said, you could move, you could breathe, you could just slightly, and it would show up something that could be anything. It could be, they could say it's cancer, they could say it's a tumor, they could say, so a CT, he said he'd rather work from that, and that's what I'm going to do. Is I'll go back to OU, that's where he is, at OU, and let them do my CT scan there, because he said I'm not too keen about messing around with other people's x-rays or CTs or MRIs. At least I know the people that are doing these here, and I know how to work with them. When it comes in from some other place, he said, I just am not real happy. I said, okay, I'll travel, because, that's about 3 hours. But we made it fine. But back to the doctor, when I got totally through, after he had interviewed me or took everything he could ask, questions and everything, I knew I was in the right place, y'all, because he said, well, thank you for coming. I'm glad you're a new patient. Do you mind if I pray for you? Now, I have never, of all the years, been around a physician that just come out of the blue. I said, well, no, I don't. Now, Mother stayed in the car because I just didn't, it was cold that day, and I didn't want her to have to be out on the cart or push her or whatever. So he didn't get to meet her, but in that intake, he took everything down that I was my mother's caregiver and her age. So, my whole family was in those prayers, and I guess the only thing he didn't pray for was the cats. But I imagine he would have if I'd asked him to. So, y'all, that just told me, that gave me verification that I had gone to the right doctor. It's been months trying to get in with him, and they've tried to give me to 2 other people because he was so busy. And I said, no, I'll wait. So that's my verification. That's my report on the doctor as of now. We're going to wait on the tumor, cancer tumor, to see if, I guess it looks bright or whatever it does in that, and we'll know more about that before long. But I got my B12, and I'm feeling okay. That's why I'm finally getting back in the rut of things, being able to cook. Okay, now, there's Sheila Chester. Hello, how are you? I got your t-shirt over there, and I was going to put it on, and I thought, no, I'm saving that t-shirt. I wore it one time. I'm going to save it so I don't mess it up. I'm just that way. I've got oodles of clothes. These, I saw the backdrop I put on, and I thought, well, let me just go in the closet. Well, lo and behold, there's a shirt that matched the flowers exactly, because I've got so many clothes. It's just unreal, y'all. Sheila, Mother and I are doing good. She's in there directing. I can hear the reverb through the TV because I've learned how to use my cell phone. And once I push it, it broadcasts to that TV there. So, Walter, no, I don't have lipstick on. it's probably this what do you call it, resolution thing that I couldn't get worked out. You ought to have seen me before I come on to be live. I looked like a damn Martian. My head was kind of pointed and I was green, and I thought, here it is. I'm going to go on here in just a little bit. And I looked and I thought, I don't know how to get this, and thank the Lord. He helped me get it to this part, so be happy. But if I ever do wear lipstick, don't get upset about it. It's just something I might feel like I want to do that day. I don't condemn nobody. If they want to wear lipstick, let them, and you know. But no, it's this process, this resolution, the stream, some way with the streaming network. Melissa Brown said, he sounds like a doctor you can definitely trust. I really think so, Melissa. You know, it's just like when I meet people. I know you get that inner feeling, y'all. You know how you can trust somebody, or you better be wary of that person. And that third eye, y'all always heard of that third eye. Well, I've had it strong all my life. Grandmother had it. And when somebody would die in our family, she'd say, oh, I saw something black go over the window. Within 8 hours, we get a call, somebody come to the house, well, so-and-so died. So it kind of always scared my sisters, but I've had the same thing going on. You know, if something, I can foresee things, and that's why I'm always praying about people's sickness, because I feel like Grandma always said we have our, through God, anything can be healed, and that's why I believe so heartily in it. My sister, this is a funny little story. My sister has a bird dog, old bird dog, big bird dog, and so he's gotten so old that he was having bad ear infections, and so the doctor, the veterinarian, had to pack his ears with medicine, not cotton or nothing like that. And they said once this medicine dissipates, it could make the dog hard of hearing. So you can take this is my story. You can take it however you want to. But so we were talking on the telephone, which my mother calls her every night, talks to her every night, at least on the phone. And she said, well, that medicine has made, her dog's name is Dan, made him hard of hearing. And she said, and that's been about, that was probably in October. She said, I have to watch him because down the old dirt road, they live out in the country, he'll get out on the road and might not hear a car, so I go get him and put him on a lead rope, and or there, and leash, I guess. So we went out there, y'all know. I went to her house for Thanksgiving for about 2 or 3 hours is all. That's the only outings we had to our families for Thanksgiving or Christmas. So while I was standing outside getting ready to leave, Dan was there and I was petting him and all that. And so my sister said, well, told him that I loved him, and she said, well, I don't know why I'm saying that, because he can't hear me. And so I just had this gut inkling to put my hands, because he's already there, just on him and pray. I mean, literally pray really hard for his hearing. And no more was said about it nor nothing. So I guess we did go out there Christmas for about like we did for Thanksgiving. No, we didn't. That was Thanksgiving. So we were talking again on the phone, let's say 3 or 4 weeks later. Mother was, and she said, oh, I hear Dan out there barking. He barks a lot, She can hear him through in the house. And she said, I better go holler at him and tell him to get his butt up here because I don't want him getting out on that road. And Mother said, well, I thought he was hard of hearing. And she said, not anymore. She said, after brother come out here Thanksgiving, she said, that afternoon, he could hear. Now y'all can think whatever you want. I don't care, but I do feel like there's power in prayer, and I think that dog was healed. I really think that dog was healed, and I think people can do it. I just think the Lord gives you that if you have enough perseverance. And I'm looking here trying to see. Yeah, I've got all the questions, I think, done pretty well. Granny Pat told me last night that it was snowing in Lexington. I said, Lord, I didn't know y'all were. She said, well, she didn't know it was snowing until the weatherman on the TV got on there and said, well, I hope y'all are enjoying the snow. And so, there's still winter weather going everywhere. Now, it did get cool, pretty cold here for a day or two, but I'll be so glad when I can get out there and get my plants and stuff. And I've got the new plant catalog. I don't know if y'all get these plant books, but this one I don't have it with me right now, but it's got some unique dark tomatoes in it, like almost black, and they look, I think they're called African tomato, but they say it's one of the best tomatoes I've asked people that they've ever planted. So I just don't know if I really want to see a dark tomato on my plate. That's the only thing. It kind of, you want your tomato to look like a red tomato. So, and that, I don't know. I'll have to wait. I might order one few seeds just to plant them and just see how that tomato tastes. But I hope y'all have a good week this week, and I hope that all of you are doing okay. I feel like that I'm getting around and to doing better, and Mother's doing a lot better. And, we just don't change around here very often. Still painting the kitchen. I got a lot of it done. And I just have to do it in strides because, I just get wore out. I just get so wore out that I just have to stop, sit down, take a breath, take 2 breaths, get a drink. So that's about the way it is. Sanitary, yes, definitely there's power in prayer. Thank you, Jesus. It is true. It is so true. And, for years, my grandmother instilled that in me. But when you're young, you think you're invincible and, all that. So I'm just believing now that we're all blessed, and I pray for you, and I hope you pray for us, and